Welcome to the 2024 Draft Cheat Sheet presented by Fantasy Football Time, aka FFBT. Let's jump into it. So, this cheat sheet is a spreadsheet saved on Google Docs. We have 6 different tabs: the introduction tab, overview, instructions, example, the cheat sheet itself, and of course, support information if you need to reach out to us. The introduction really goes into why we put this cheat sheet together. Yahoo Fantasy Sports is not affiliated in any way with Fantasy Football Time, but we love drafting in their leagues. So, having done many drafts with them, they have what's called the X rank. It is only available in mock drafts and the live draft. You cannot find this X rank list anywhere else except for on this cheat sheet. We've gone through and combed out that list, sorted it all, and correlated player stats against the 2023 stat line from what they did last year. And that way you can now look at the X rank and know exactly how many games they played, how many point totals did they do, what was the average points per game, what was the average points per game if they played all 17 games. That is this one stat that will help you decide whether one player's stats compares to the other. So the overview goes through into how you read through the sheet at a really high level. Bright green is good, dark green is pretty good, light green is okay. No color, but we have the stats from 2023 there. That means they are a top 24 player for wide receivers and running backs and tight ends. Or if it's a quarterback, we do top 6, top 12 for the quarterbacks. Light blue indicates your top kickers and defenses. If it's has a white color or no highlight with no stats, that means they did not crack the top 12 quarterbacks or the top 24 receivers, running backs, or tight ends. And yellow indicates a special situation, whether they switch teams, there's an injury, and so on. So I have some general draft recommendations and draft strategies and some assumptions around what the teams would be. In this case, we're assuming a half point per game. We're assuming 1 quarterback, 2 receivers, 2 running backs, a flex position for receiver, running back, or tight end, a tight end, a kicker, and a defense. Obviously, your league may vary. So in this case, our strategy is to go after 3 running backs, 2 receivers, a quarterback, a tight end, kicker, and a defense. Your strategy may vary. You may use this cheat sheet however you like. So the example page just goes through how I suggest applying a strategy, but ultimately that strategy is up to you. So looking at the actual cheat sheet itself, column A is the Yahoo rank that you can't find anywhere else. We have that next to the player, the team, the position, and any notes that might be useful. Then to the right, we have column F with the 2024 point projection. So they haven't played these games yet, but this is what Yahoo thinks they'll be. The games played from last year is column G. Do they do 17 games, 16, 15, less? How many total points do they get from those games? What was the average points per game? That's column I. I think that's really important to measure up what they did when they're on the field. Injuries are out of your control. So how do you compare one season to the other? So let's look at what they did when they're on the field, because you have no control over the injury situation. So the final column, which I love, is column J. That is the X17 stat. The X17 stat is if they played all 17 games. So you can now see what they would have done if they had averaged what they did when they played on the field. I think this is the best stat that you can use to compare one player against the other. And it's what we use to help indicate whether they are the top 25% of the top players, the top 50%, the top 100% of the top 24, or did they fall outside the top 24? So I would suggest, as you are going through your draft, this is a cheat sheet only, so your picks will not come off this spreadsheet, obviously. So what you want to do is, as players are going down, just keep scrolling through this list to the top player that the X rank list shows. So let's say you are pick number 5. So we'll assume that the picks before you go straight through. So we'll assume McCaffrey goes first, then Lamb, then Hill, then Hall, and you're at Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase didn't have as great a season last year with Joe Burrow being out. So you can see that he did not make the bright green color there, which indicates that they were in the top 12 of their position. So he would be a wide receiver 2 in 2023 land. So what happened is he was forecasted 243 points this year. He had 16 games last year, 212 points total, and only 226 he would have averaged if he played all games. Look a couple rows down, Amon-Ra St. Brown, row 11. He's X rank 8 under Chase, but St. Brown, although he's projected to be a few points less than Jamar, played way more games and had 288 points, a total of almost, actually a little over 60 more points than what Jamar had done in 2023. So is that going to mean it's going to be the same for this year? Not necessarily, but at least you have that information. So if you would like to get somebody, and I am big on picking players that have actually done this, I would be very comfortable taking St. Brown with my number 5 pick. And I did add a couple bits of information for the people that doubt that rationale. In 2022, he had 198 points and only 212 in 2023. So if you want to go with Jamar Chase, go for it. But he has not scored that 300 level yet, as great as he is. So regardless, you can go down this list as each player is drafted. Here's an example. Let's say you get pick number 11, Garrett Wilson. Garrett has no stats to there. In my cheat sheet, that indicates that they were not in the top 24 of their position. So if you have 2 positions per team, that's 24 positions for that spot. He was not in the top 24 last year. Now, they had Zach Wilson, and the Jets were not great. But even then, he was supposed to be the go-to position or the go-to receiver for the Jets last year and did not muster a top 24 performance. Now, Aaron Rodgers, the team's improved, maybe, but I'm a big person or personal believer in have you done this before? Garrett has not. So I would, if I had the 11th pick, I would be skipping Wilson and be getting Gibbs, who is a top player for the running back position. Might even get Puka Nacua from the Los Angeles Rams as well. Regardless, I do hope that this sheet will help you go through and evaluate as your turn comes up, and you can look at the X rank and then get some additional information that you may not have had that the X rank doesn't normally show, such as the games played and what their projected average would have been. And so you can get the best possible team for your 2024 season. So best of luck. Please reach out to us at Fantasy FB Time on Twitter, and we will do our best to monitor those tweets and DMs. So please enjoy, have a great draft, and we'll talk to you soon.